Welcome back to Best Year Ever, Part 2, where we actually talk about the goal setting process. Now, when I talk about goal setting, I don't mean making a to-do list, because there's two common problems when it comes to setting goals. The first one is unchunked goals, and then there's overchunked goals. Chunking is when you take something specific and then go to the general, or when you go to the general and make something specific. Like, again, some people have all these different goals when the value they want to achieve is love or acceptance or success. But then there's people out there that set these ultra-specific goals where they have every single step, but then they get overwhelmed. Like, if I were to go through a to-do list of my day, and if I were to write down the following, and when I finish, I want you to tell me if it's doable. Okay, today's to-do list. Get out of bed, go to the kitchen, make an omelet, get a Earl Grey tea, go to the computer, check your messages, check in with the Waffus community, go out for your morning jog. Let's see, have a drink, go shower. Let's see, check in on work, check your messages, do the Best Year Ever Afternoon Edition, read the entire outline, open all that stuff, record the video, check in with people, go get dinner, run back home, do the evening edition of Best Year Ever, talk to more people afterwards, animate the cartoons, check in with your family, then go to sleep at night. Would you be able to do that? Yes or no?
That in and of itself depends on efficiency, I suppose.
It does, but I like to think that people are capable of things like that, so I'll say yes.
Okay, but let's compare that to the second example, where the examples are... let's say I were to set, this is my daily to-do list. Run through the morning routine, check in with community, do the stream, have dinner, do another stream, animate, go to bed. Is that slightly easier?
Yeah.
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 Yep. Because, this is an example of chunking up, where I don't have to explain all the details of what it means to do a morning routine. Like, my morning routine is getting out of bed, making breakfast, going on the jog, coming home, checking in with everyone, then taking my shower. Whereas, another example is, let's say someone wants to go to the gym. Someone could say, oh, if I have to go to the gym, first I have to pack all my clothes into some big bag, then drive all the way down there, then go inside, then check in with the guy at the front, then go to the locker room and strip down and throw my clothes into some locker where I'm not entirely sure it's secure, and then I have to put the lock on, I have to go outside and go to the sweaty equipment, and then I have to try out the different machines and see if this one works, but it doesn't because the weight's too heavy and I can't seem to adjust it, so I go to the next machine that's all sweaty and covered in sweat, and then I work on it for several hours and I tear my muscles and stuff, and then I go back into the gym and I cool myself down in the hot tub with like a bunch of fat, sweaty people trying to also lose weight. And then I go back into the gym and toss my ultra dirty clothes into my other bag with the other dirty clothes and that have been sitting there all day. And now I have this big, sweaty bag of clothes in my car driving home that's stinking up the whole car. And now I have to do laundry in the evening. There's no way I can go to the gym.
Well,
That's very pessimistic.
Yeah. People say I'm a pessimist, but even I am not that like that.
Whereas, in fact, there's even a Monty Python skit about a travel agent where this guy's talking about all the things that go wrong until the travel agent's like, shut your bloody gob! I'm calling the police! But whereas the people who actually do go to the gym, they think to themselves, pack your clothes, go in, get on the equipment, have your protein shake, do your cool down, go home. Now, sometimes you have to chunk things down, i.e. go from the general to the specific, if you want to learn how other people do things. Like if you ask someone, man, you're such a good artist, how do you do that? And they say, well, man, I just feel the art coming from my fingertips. That doesn't tell you much, does it?
oh.
Not really.
But,
Yeah.
let's say they were to, if you were to say, okay, be more specific about it. Then they say, well, first I imagine what the picture would look like, and then I start tracing outlines, and sometimes I'll erase and go back. and sometimes maybe I'll get a little posing doll so I can, trace the outline of that. And once I'm satisfied and think to myself, man, that sounds like that'll work, then I'm like, okay, it's time to finalize this. And then I start drawing in the different forms. Eventually, you have like a full detailed list of how that artist does their work. And if you were to repeat what they did the exact same way, you would get the same exact result. It's like baking a cake. Once you get the recipe and you know what order to put everything in and what quantities, then you can make the same cake over and over again. But of course, there are some people out there who look at someone who bakes a cake and they're like, that's easy! And then they cook the eggs before cracking them. Like, there's an order to it all. You have to know what order do the ingredients go in, i.e. what steps do they go in, and what quantities and qualities, i.e. the standards to which you do those. And I forgot what else, but the idea is if you copy the methodologies, it generally makes things easier. But at the same time, you also got to be specific with what kind of goal that you're shooting for. Now, we talked about if you're ultra specific on how all the different steps that could overwhelm you, but at the same time, if you don't know what you're shooting for, that's also going to lead to disaster. One joke that's been getting a couple laughs I've been doing is, let's see, there are two of them. Like, if someone were to say, I want to earn some money, you could say, oh, okay, here's $1, get out of my face. Or another one is, I want to lose weight. Okay, hack off your arms and legs. That'll lose you 100 pounds. I want to get into a relationship with someone. Okay, here's a one-armed hooker named Steve.
Okay, that one.
Yeah, that got me.
Hey, Steve!
I'll get you away, Steve, if it's the last thing I do!
Cool, is
If you want
that
to be a
you?
writer, read Twilight, but don't go by it. You'll know how to write.
But anyway, you gotta make what you're doing specific, measurable, and time-targeted. Now, there are some people out there who have SMART goals, but if you were here for the afternoon session, we didn't know what the A or the R stood for, so I'm gonna go with SMUT goals. SMUT goals are specific, measurable, and time-targeted. Specific as in you know what you're going for. Like me, one of my goals was to lose a crap ton of weight, but to be specific, I wanted to be 170 pounds. It was measurable. It was a 40-pound difference. And it was time-targeted. I wanted to lose it in 5 years. But of course, I lost it in less than 4 months. So now I need to know what else to do with my body at this point.
Turn that into muscle.
Yep, that's what I'm planning to, actually. Gonna work
That's
on the
what I
abs,
am doing.
biceps.
Schwarzenegger.
So I guess the next, if I were to make a SMUT goal of my body, I would go, I want to have, I guess, visible abs, biceps, and I guess visible abs, biceps, and pectoral muscles by the end of the year. Now, of course, chances are, if it is possible, according to a number of Men's Health magazine articles, that you can get abs in 21 days. But I could try it. It's worth a shot, just to see if I can do it. But that's not one of my main goals. My current goals have to do with one, mastering this system, then two, getting all the let's see, what else? Getting this system mastered. Oh yeah, and of course getting better at doing things earlier, mastering the time debt concept.
Yeah. You say stuff about building abs and stuff like that. When I've seen people work out, some people don't actually go for building huge muscles and everything. They're just working to strengthen the muscles they already have, and that's just as effective.
Oh yeah, because if you don't work out, the muscles atrophy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd actually like some lean muscle. That's kind of my goal. I want lean muscle. I don't want to bulk up. I know to bulk up you need creatine and nitrous oxide or something like that. I don't know the exact, I know there's some bodybuilders out there that are laughing at this, but I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm a rider. Or at least not yet anyway.
Trust me, here's the thing. Muscle also can turn into weight as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you weigh 200 pounds but you're thin and covered in muscle, that's pretty decent.
Well, I'm 20 pounds off from that, and I'm still got a bit of muscle.
But also, let's see. So you gotta, like, not be so specific it overwhelms you, but at the same time, you also need to be specific in your goals and know why you want to achieve them. But then at the same time, you also gotta feel worthy to achieve them and have the mindset to achieve them. Because there are people out there that think, oh, I'm not that kind of person, or I'm not worthy, or some other BS story that they keep telling themselves. But the reality is, everyone is worthy of achieving their goal if they set their mind to it.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier, I was talking about As a Man Thinketh by James Allen that said that our thoughts create our world, but not in like the mumbo-jumbo law of attraction thing that me and Nuclear Falcon took apart. I mean like, from our thoughts spring our actions, our behaviors, and our habits. The mind is like a garden, in that if you think negative thoughts, thoughts of ill will towards others or yourself, it's like they're like the weeds of the mind. And if they infect the mind, then they pour out the body through your negative speech, your negative actions, the way you treat other people. But if you have positive thoughts, one of growth, one of helping others, of goodwill towards men, then outpour actions and words that reflect those of the mind. Let's see, in the study of linguistics, there's an easy way to tell that what somebody talks about constantly is usually what they're focusing on. In casual conversation, if you hear somebody constantly talking about everything wrong with their life, what do you think they're focused on?
All the wrong in their life.
Yep. Or if even someone were to speak about a specific detail of something. Let's see, I'm trying to think. I was at work a while ago, and someone was bringing up another person in conversation, and they were, I could easily tell from just the words they were speaking that they were disappointed about the lack of effort someone else was giving out. But they didn't exactly say it directly. They danced around the issue, they hinted at it, but from the words they were using, it was, I'm disappointed at their lack of effort. Like, it's almost like mind reading. If you just pay attention to the words closely enough, the consonant words, you can find out what's going on through a person's head. Especially if the person does the exact opposite of what they, like, say the other person's doing. Like, if you see them complaining that everyone else are slackers, but they themselves are working constantly hard, what do you think their focus is?
Slackers.
I was going to say their focus is they always want to be working hard. They got this high standard for working hard, so they're always thinking, gotta work hard, gotta work hard, gotta work hard. In fact,
I just figured that out. Excuse me.
That's okay. And there's another quote by W. Clement Stone, one of Napoleon Hill's collaborators. Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, which has become like the father of all self-help books, and W. Clement Stone made a fortune off of Napoleon Hill's advice. And he said that every single morning and every single night, he would repeat to himself the phrase, do it now, 50 times, with full intensity. So after he said, do it now, 50 times, he would burst forward and do whatever the thing he needed to do now. So if you had that flower in your mind, in your mental garden, the phrase, do it now, do you think that you would be able to do things more quickly, with more urgency, with more passion? I will tell you this, earlier today I actually had to go shopping.
Crap, that's not my push-to-talk key. Whoops, sorry.
Okay. Earlier today I had to go out shopping, and I was running really short on time because it was 2 o'clock when I needed to shop, but it was 3 o'clock when I needed to do the afternoon session of Best Year Ever. And when I wasn't feeling up for it, I was busy writing advice a day, but I was running low on cat food, and I did the exercise. I said, do it now 50 times, and by the time I got to the car and got to the local store, I was beaming with energy. I was like running through the aisles, like high-fiving people on the way there and out, just bouncing off the walls from there to my house. So I can tell you it does work.
That actually sounds pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, It's very similar. I guess it's the cheap diet version of the I am the voice thing that we do at the Unleash the Hermit Within. It's known in some circles as an incantation. It's like an affirmation on horse crack, where like there's some people like in affirmations where you basically lie to yourself, like saying I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, but then your brain's like bullshit, you're not happy. Because there's no evidence, there's no intensity, you're only engaging maybe your mind at most. Whereas an affirmation is like something along the lines of a pledge, on the lines of a salute. Like, it's like a song that gets stuck in your head, but it's meant to actually work to your benefit. Like, Diz, did you go on the ride It's a Small World when you went to Disney World?
I don't think I did.
Okay, because if you did, chances are... Or have you listened to the song It's a Small World?
Yes.
Okay, and after listening to that song It's a Small World, did that song play in your head in like 40 different languages 50 bazillion times?
No.
Aw.
But
Well, that's one
did
example of an
stick in my
incantation of sorts. It's like the song that gets stuck in your head. But a
Yeah.
lot of people have bad songs stuck in their head, like... Some people constantly repeat to themselves, I'm a failure, I'll never learn this, and then they wonder why they never learn something. A great example Tony Robbins does is the where's the salt scenario, where someone asks you, hey, can you get the salt? It's on the second shelf. And you go, I don't know where the salt is. Then they say, it's on the second shelf. Go get it. Then you go into the kitchen, you're like, I don't know where the salt is. You look on the shelf, I don't know where the salt is. I don't know where the salt is. It's not here. It's on the second shelf. Go get it. And then you keep looking through all the different shelves. I don't know where the salt is. I don't know where the salt is. It's not here. Then they walk into the kitchen, reach 2 feet in front of your face, and go, what is this? And of course, did your eye see the salt? It might have, but your brain didn't see the salt.
Oh, yeah. If it were a snake, it would have bit you.
Yep. Another classic example is the reticular activating system exercise. If many of you remember this, it's if you haven't done it before, here it is again, especially for the YouTube people. The people on YouTube, you're going to have a lot of fun with this. I want you to look around your room and think of the color blue. Think of the color blue, think of the color blue, and you'll start noticing blue objects, lots of blue objects. You don't have to say them out loud, just notice all the blue objects everywhere in your room. And as you see all the blue objects, I want you to... What was that, Mario Sonic?
There's a lot of blue in my room, so that's
Yep.
pretty easy for me.
Okay, so as you look around and you see all the blue objects, shut your eyes completely. And now I want you to recall all of the yellow objects that you saw. But of course, if you did the exercise right, you might think of the yellow objects from your memory, but chances are you'll remember more blue objects than the yellow objects. So open your eyes and now think of the color yellow. Think of the color yellow, look around and notice all the yellow objects. And what's crazy is you will notice that there are yellow objects and blue objects right next to each other, but you didn't notice them until I told you to look for the yellow objects.
Actually, I did remember that I have the SpongeBob SquarePants movie on my shelf, so that's a good thing you called out the memory thing.
Yep. And here's something freaky. One last thing, go back to your room and look for an object that's, look for some blue and yellow objects that are near each other. Think of the color yellow, think of the color yellow, think of the color yellow, now think of the color blue, think of the color blue, and notice that shift in your focus from the blue to the yellow. Now think of the yellow, think of the yellow, think of the blue, think of the blue, think of the yellow, think of the yellow, and you'll notice your perception shifting. But the problem is, a lot of us get into habits of focusing on the wrong things. Like sometimes we'll think of what is wrong with our life, what is wrong with our life, and then we focus on nothing but what's wrong in our life. Now sometimes it's good to think of what's wrong in your life if you want to make improvements, but if you get stuck there, then you're never going to go anywhere. It's like buying a computer and then getting the best virus software ever, and all you ever do to use the computer for is to run the virus software. Wouldn't it be very useful if all you did was check for viruses?
Nope.
So at the same time, you also gotta train, like, what's, here's a great little guided meditation exercise. You can do this with your eyes open or closed. Sometimes it's good to do it with your eyes closed so you can have a little visual reference, have a little theater of the mind going on. And I just want you to think of, let's see, what was the most amusing thing that happened this week? And you might think to yourself, nothing. Well, what could have been amusing? And if it was nothing this week, well, think of something that might have happened last week, or just the nearest amusing memory that you could think about. Like, step into your body as if you were there and actually see what you saw, hear what you heard. Maybe it was a funny story, or maybe it was a neat video, or maybe it was an interesting little experience they told your friends about. Whatever it was, go back and feel those feelings. And you have this power to do pretty much any memory that you wish. You can call it memories that you haven't thought of in a very long time. Like, here's another good one. What's something funny that happened this week? Don't say it out loud, but just think of something funny that happened this week. Could have been something you saw, something you heard, neat little image, something with your friends. I'm immediately recalling the story I told earlier about the guy who told me to get my keys out of my locked car. And as you think of this thing, again, chances are if you, you might laugh or smile or something along those lines. I know I'm smiling right now thinking of this. And that's a good example of what you focus on becomes your reality. What you focus on, some people focus on all the bad in their life, but you can also remember there's good in your life. I did this joke last week, reciting this joke about Charlie Murphy. 6.9 billion people on the planet means that something crazy. As you imagine it, there's a guy doing it right now. But I want to do a more lighthearted example, saying that right now, someone in the world is getting married. Someone in the world is getting divorced. Someone is heading to an amusement park having the time of their life. Someone out there is getting sick at an amusement park. Someone out there is becoming a father or a mother or starting their family. And someone right out there is losing their life, they're having a breakdown. There's peace going on in the world, there's corruption going on in the world. A couple's getting together for the first time and they don't even know it because it's the first time they're meeting. Out there somewhere, a seemingly perfect couple's about to have their first fight. Like, there's a monologue by, let's see, there's a bunch of monologues on this. There's one by from the early edition of the revival series of Doctor Who, where the Doctor tells one of his companions, all you humans, sometimes you think about death and all that, but you never stop to wonder, well, what if I survive? And he tells us after going to the end of the world, noticing that there's still people left in the universe. Or another one comes from Adaptation by, by Charlie Kaufman, where he has a conversation with Robert McKee, and Charlie Kaufman's all like, well, what if my story has a protagonist with no desire because nothing ever happens in the world? And McKee goes, well, first of all, you're going to bore your audience if you don't have a character with any desire or else no climax or crisis, but nothing goes on in the real world? Are you out of your mind? People are murdered every day. There is war, corruption every day. Someone out there makes a conscious decision to destroy other people. People find love. People lose it. For God's sake, someone watches their mother get killed on the steps of a church. Someone goes hungry. If you can't find that stuff in life, then you don't know crap about life. But yes, everything that you can imagine is happening right now as we speak. The question is, what are you going to focus on? So we've talked about chunking goals, we talked about unchunking goals, we've talked about all the different things we can focus on, but now let's actually get into how to properly plan the goals. And if you see this little graphic on the main screen, it comes down to know your goal and why you want the goal, have plenty of reasons to follow through on the goal, have plenty of ways to achieve the goal, and to follow through daily. But of course, the graphic's a more simplified version. It's 1, what do you want? 2, why do you want it? 3, how can you get it? And 4, what's stopping you mentally? And once you unlock all of those, then you can probably start making daily progress on it. And again, with the know your goal and why you want it, well, the knowing the goal is having a SMUT goal, a specific, measurable, time-targeted goal. But more importantly, you also need to ask yourself, why do you want the goal? Because I recall too many people that have this philosophy of someday when I get the money, when I write that story, when I publish this thing, when I meet the right person, then I'll be happy. But this leads to something I call condition-based depression. Condition-based depression is when you get the thing that you think is going to make you happy and then realize, is this all there is? And then it's like, okay, this thing didn't make me happy, so what's going to make me happy now? And they feel disappointed, and that makes their depression even worse. In fact, I would say condition-based depression is probably the worst kind of depression because you put all of your effort into a goal that you think of something was going to make you happy, but in the end, it didn't work. So now you're miserable, but you have the thing that you fought so hard over. So you have to know, why do you want this thing? Let's see. I know too many sad examples, and I really, I'm hard-pressed to find an example of condition-based depression where the person really didn't destroy their life, but I guess I'll use a personal example because it's safe. Back when I was in community college, I really wanted a girlfriend, and I sort of got basically a girl who masqueraded as my girlfriend for a while. And needless to say, I actually felt more miserable in my time with her than when I was single. And when I finally cut her, I had a lot of money at the time, and she mainly used my money. And when I cut her off, she finally got rid of me, and I was actually bouncing off the walls when she did. That in fact, that's a classic example of condition-based depression right there, where you think a lot of people get into relationships thinking, oh, I want to be into this big consummated relationship or something like that. Well, this relationship was nothing of the sort. It totally changed my perspective on what it means to be in a relationship, being in that one. And then there are some people who get into that kind of relationship and they're like, I want out of this. I didn't sign up for this. And I didn't sign up for that, and I got out, and I was listening to all the songs that are singles anthems. At the time, I think it was Jason Derulo's Solo that was playing on the radio all the time. I'm riding solo, that song. Sometimes the things that we think will make... Sometimes the things that we think will make us happy actually make us miserable, and sometimes the things that we do to escape them make us happy. So it's one of those classic examples of sometimes we don't know what makes us happy. Let's see, someone was trying to say something?
It was Kitsune.
Yes, Kitsune?
You also have to be there's other things you have to be careful about. It might affect your life. The choice of music you might listen to, you'd be surprised how much of impact can be to your life.
Oh yeah, music, well, it's kind of a two-way street. On one hand, we listen to music that agrees with our ideologies, but at the same time, sometimes we seek out music as a way to influence our ideologies. It kind of depends on whether or not we seek influence from outside sources or from inside sources. Because if we're the kind of person that's like, I want my music to validate my beliefs, then they'll listen to the music that validates their beliefs as opposed to wanting to change them. Do you know of anyone out there who actually listens to Christian rock because they want to believe in Christian values, or is it mainly Christians who just listen to Christian rock?
For me, it's mainly Christians.
And there you go. That's one example of how there are people out there who will listen to music that support their beliefs as opposed to the other way around. In fact, I myself listen to punk music mainly because of the tempo and the energy and the and all the rebellious themes and stuff, but it's not the kind of person, I don't follow it to the same extent that a Christian rock fan listens to Christian rock. I'm mainly in it it's the same example of someone who's into war movies won't exactly join the army, as ironic as that sounds. Like they're in it for the action, not actually idolizing the lifestyle. And again, there are, and people are varied like snowflakes, because there are some people out there who will listen to the music to get influenced, and there are some people who are into war movies because they really do value the military tradition.
One of the reasons why I want to move out of the home I live in with my mom, because she likes listening to country music, and most of the songs are pretty damn negative. This makes me feel terrible. One of thousands of reasons why I want to move out.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a common joke about country music, where the artist's like, this next song's about me losing my wife, my dog, my house, and everything else. It goes like this, bitch. Nah, that's quite enough of that. There's even a 5-second film about that. From a series
Same
of
thing goes
5-second
for
films.
rap. If you play the song backwards, you get your life back, you get your kids back, you get your girlfriend back.
Yep. So anyway, the first thing about goal planning is 1, know the goal and know why you want the goal. 2, have plenty of reasons to do it and follow through. And let's see, I guess on the little thing I'm juggling, it's the why do you want it. Because you could say to yourself, let's say you have a big idealistic goal, like one of my goals on my list is to finish all of my cartoons this year. But if you were to like have that on the list and your only reason is, I just want to finish it just because, there's not going to be much passion behind it. But if you list your reasons like, I want to entertain people, I don't want to disappoint my fans and friends, I want to push the limits of Walfist or Create.Swift, I want to get better at video editing, I want to do it faster, I want to be more creative, I want to make people laugh. If you can list all those different reasons, then it'll be hard not to do the thing that you want to do. Make sense?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then 3 is have plenty of ways to achieve the same goal. It's how can you get it? Now, with some goals, there are only limited ways you can do it. Like in the template that I give for the goal exercise I have in Unleash Servant Within Guide number 4, I list how to do it on various difficulty levels, and it runs like this. If I can just pull this thing up. Where did I put it? Let's see. Spastic profile. Unleash Servant Within number 4. Okay. For the normal difficulty, here's the action plan. You select 4 goals and 1 from each category, then review. Action item number 1 is review the top goals daily. Review your action plan daily. Do not let a week go by without doing at least 14 items on your plan. Review and revise your goals weekly. And review your accomplishments weekly for an extra confidence boost. And depending on how committed you are, you can increase the settings of these goals and plans. And another example is losing weight. I think I mentioned this earlier, where I mentioned I was starving myself, but that plan didn't exactly work out. Now, these days, I have a much better plan where I not only exercise, but I also eat the right amount of fiber, vitamins, carbs, fat, protein in certain levels and certain amounts, snack, drinking nothing but water, doing push-ups, sit-ups, jogging. Jogging's a big one for me lately. Let's see. Indoor skydiving is another way to work myself out. Going to the 24-hour gym occasionally. Getting a gym membership. I also have a weight set that I use occasionally. You gotta have multiple ways to accomplish the same exact goal. And you gotta be able to do them at least once a day. Now, as I go back to the example of building values and building habits, you also have to be able to build the habits and the values that you want every single day. Like if I were to go to one of the list of the values that I would like to adopt, let's see. Like becoming more organized and orderly is one of the personal development goals that I need to do if I'm going to accomplish the doing the list goal, as meta as that sounds. But in order to do that, every single day I need to find ways to become more orderly and organized. From simply cleaning my room to making better lists to using a planner. There are many different ways to achieve the same goal on a daily basis. You can do the same one over and over again, or you can do multiple ways over and over again. Let's see. Let's say someone wanted to write a story. What are all the different ways that you can write a story? Just shout them out. Or type them out if you need to. I'll tell you, when I was writing Diamond in the Rough, I carried my laptop with me, and I carried my phone with me.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this earlier, one of my favorite days was when I got to meet Vic in Houston, and we got to write one of the scenes over dinner at the aquarium, and I had my laptop, and we wrote the scene together while waiting for our food. A lot of screenwriters like to put up like a little poster boards with index cards on them, tack them on there with all the different scenes and different outlines. Getting mind mapping software is another thing. Carrying around a notebook, like a tiny pocket notebook, so you can get ideas where the scene, where inspiration catches you. There's Evernote, which is like a little notepad note-taking thing, which is for the pad and for tablets. Google Docs, so you can work on it as long as you have an interconnection anywhere. Voice recorders are another example. You can speak into a voice recorder. That's what Charlie Kaufman does, apparently, according to Adaptation. Let's see, what's the name of the... There's one group, I forgot their name, but there was a songwriter who was so inspired, they wrote in permanent marker on the hotel room walls and took a photo of it.
Oh, wow.
And it became like a hit song. I forgot what the song was, but like that is how inspired they were to sing it. And all these are all the things that you can do daily. Is like as long as you do one of these things daily, then you can complete that story. Or let's think of another task. What is a task that might take a long time? It could be something you want. It could be something that you think someone else would want. Just any example will work. Oh, let's see.
How about designing a video game, perhaps? And that's all I can think of off the top of my head.
All right, designing a video game. Let's see. Playing games is one example. But again, like a lot of these things on your list, you got to remember that they contribute to the goal but not distract from the goal. Let's see, reading video game design manuals, actually testing different gaming engines, looking into what goes into different gaming engines, watching tech demos, getting interviews with different game designers, practicing programming, because game design and programming are actually two different things, but these days with the advent of... indie developers, you got to be the programmer and the game designer at the same time. Like Zune is both, and that's worked out pretty well for him.
And he started out fairly early too. Yep. So yeah.
Oh, interviewing game designers. Like if you know someone who's good at game design, ask them, how do you know what goes into a good game design, and get mentorship from them. Mentorship is probably like universally across all the different things how you can get better at virtually any subject. If you want to get better at writing, find a good writing tutor. If you want to get better at designing a game, find someone who's designed a game and ask them for help. In fact, there's personal trainers at a number of gyms that will teach you how to work out, and sometimes there are even some with dietary information to teach you what to eat, what to drink. That's how I learned how to work out my muscles, how the whole protein thing goes into the rebuilding of muscles. But yes, these are examples of how if you have multiple strategies to accomplish the thing that you want, then you can make daily progress even doing the little things. Because over time, it's the little things that make the big thing. Like, there were a lot of people that said I couldn't finish Diamond in the Rough because I was making such small progress every single day. I was only getting 24 frames done, like, every single day, whereas, like, yesterday, I got 130 frames done. But over time, that eventually accumulated into 20 episodes in a 4-hour movie. And I had to do this during, like, a really stressful point in the Waffles community's history. But in the end, it got finished because I made daily progress.
And I remember like the lesson you brought up as well about the man who was chipping away at a big stone.
Yep. There's a story about an old monk who was chipping away at a stone every single day, just making very, very small chips. And the son was like, why are you doing that? And the monk was like, well, one day I'm going to make myself a canyon so we can go from here to the village. And the son's like, but that'll never, you'll never finish that in your lifetime. And the monk was like, well, maybe, but one of these days it'll get finished. And this story was passed down to the generations of why there's now a canyon between one side of the valley to the other.
So that's a good example.
Yep. In fact, the Grand Canyon is a good example of that. The Grand Canyon didn't just appear overnight. That's like flood after flood after flood after all sorts of weather elements and dryness. And chances are, if you were there like billions of years ago, it's like, there's no way there'll be a giant canyon here. Then come back to the present day, that's like, wow, that's a pretty Grand Canyon. What to call it, though?
Yep.
And lastly... Oh, yes, Kitsune?
Never mind.
Okay. And lastly, follow through... actually, no. Not following through daily. Lastly, it's what's stopping you mentally. Because we've already talked about pleasure, pain, values, needs, and all that good... let's see. All that. But yes, it's the mindset that gets in the way. Because sometimes we'll want to work out, but we don't value discomfort. Or we'll want to design a game, but we don't have patience. Or we fear failure. Or we fear success, because some people fear other people getting jealous or envious or angry, but the problem is you cannot accomplish great things without pissing people off.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are people out there who don't believe in success, and to make themselves feel more significant, they love to talk down to the people who do like to value success. Or at the same time, there are people out there who... let's see, how do I describe this? Who like the status quo and don't want the status quo to change, so they will fight against it. As we mentioned earlier, there's your good kind of change and your bad kind of change. But even the good kind of change has its demerits. Like, there are people out there that... Like, even when Modern Warfare was new, there were people who absolutely despised the change and said, you know what, we need to go back to World War II games. Like, I don't like this. But what's funny is even now, people are like, okay, now even the Modern Warfare thing's starting to become a little stagnating. And they're trying to do it again with the going even further into the future, but who knows what they'll change next. Who knows what the future may hold.
Eventually all those games will get stale. Then they make medieval warfare.
But as I mentioned earlier, I think we covered all the knowing what's stopping you mentally stuff in the foundation. So you have to be able to find what are the limiting beliefs behind what's stopping you from getting your goals. And when we actually do the goal setting workshop proper, you're going to find that some of the things that are getting in the way of your goals go across all the different things. Like, say one of your goals is, I want to get better at running, but one of the things getting in the way is I don't have the energy. Then you have another goal that says, I want to participate in a LAN arcade tournament, but I can't go because I don't have the energy. And then you have another goal where it's like, I want to meet the girl or guy of my dreams, but I don't have the energy to go out. And you keep saying, I don't have the energy, but that's often a lie you tell to yourself. Because the truth is, if I were to tell you, if I were to find out what were your values, what were your needs, and tell you, hey, there's something you really value, you would probably have the energy to pursue that. Like, there's a great example I have where one morning I was sleeping in, I was tired, I was called in for work, I was ultra mega tired, it was past the shift anyway, so even if I wanted to go, it was too late. And then all of a sudden I hear that Fight Club, my favorite movie, was going to be playing at another theater. Now, I had spent the entire day in bed complaining, I'm too tired, I don't have the energy, I don't have the energy. And then I got out of bed like that, got dressed, went to the theater, and felt ultra guilty because it was the end of the day. And it's like, I didn't get anything accomplished, but here I am in a theater watching my favorite movie with all this energy. Why didn't I have this energy earlier? When I could have been making money, when I could have been working on cartoons, when I could have been hanging out with friends.
Making money.
And you gotta be able to tap into that energy at will. And Dunn says everyone needs a break, but we also gotta be able to exploit this power for good. Like, we have to be able to turn work into, like, seeing Fight Club at the theater, or in other cases, maybe jogging every morning in my case, or doing the goal exercise daily. Because I'm doing the ultra hard difficulty for this one, where I'm going to be doing 8 goals, and I'm going to be doing all of the exercises daily. And it's going to take about an hour to do all of this. So that's an extra hour out of my day, but over time, the results are going to be quite monumentous. Because this is adapted from...
basically, if you can tap into that enthusiasm at will, especially with specific things that really do get you enthusiastic, it can help big time.
Yes.
Alright, so let's see. We're 46 minutes in, but we're about to start getting on to the goal workshop proper. So we're about to do a lot of writing in a second, so I'm going to stop part 2 right here and get ready for part 3 after an 8-minute break. So I will see you then, and for the YouTube people, I will see you in part 3.